This landed at a ranch at Corona, New Mexico. The rancher turned it over to the Air Force. Rancher W.W. Brazil was the man who discovered the saucer.
What I thought was a star began coming in my direction at a very rapid rate of speed.
The unidentified object, which some sources thought might be a blimp, moved slowly down the Pacific coast from Santa Monica and disappeared south of Long Beach.
I saw a UFO, and it went down the river, turned right at the United Nations, turned left, and then down the river.
UFO classified. UFO classified. No more plausible deniability. Fact, fiction, or the truth. You decide. And now, the new voice of the high desert, the hostess of UFO Classified, Erica Lukes.
Well, happy Fantopia Friday, my friends. I'm always happy to be here on this lovely fall day in Utah. We are getting ready for a big snowstorm, and we've had the most exquisite fall that I can honestly ever remember. I hope that all of you are having beautiful fall weather. I want to thank all of my friends from listening all over the world. I get messages every day from different people that listen to the show, that are excited about it, and that are truly looking for good information, which, as we all know, is very difficult to find in this field, but we'll do our best. I want to say hello to Susan Libertas and Northern UFOs, all my friends in chat. Make sure you get in there and ask questions. You ask them in bold type, and I will get them to my guest this evening. This is going to be a wonderful show. We will have our guest on in just a moment, but first I want to tell you about my conversation this week with someone that I hold in very high regard, Fran Ridge, who has been working tirelessly with NICAP and on MADAR. We spent a little bit of time talking about how we could make things better, and how someone like himself, who has spent his entire life in the field and really looking for answers and trying to be progressive and documenting history, all of these things, how we could, combine forces and then move forward in a progressive manner, and also not focus on one individual case, but look at everything. And he said to me, we have enough data. Let's move forward. Let's do groundbreaking research. And I agree. You know how I feel about this. Fran is going to be on my show next week. And I encourage each and every one of you to make sure that when you are looking for answers, when you are turning to organizations or different researchers, that you understand none of us have the answers. And some people have a vested interest in this to make money, to be the center of attention, and to get their egos constantly stroked. And then you have people that are willing to take the hits for pushing boundaries. And I hope that you find your way, I just feel like we can do this together. And this is a trip. But my guest tonight has definitely been a groundbreaker, and he is dedicated, tireless. He is very spirited, and I think that's what you need when you are entering into this groundbreaking territory. My guest tonight is the co-founder of FREE, which is the Foundation for Research into Extraterrestrial Encounters. Ray Hernandez is with me, and he is, I have to say, I really enjoy talking with him. He is currently employed as an estate tax attorney with the U.S. Department of Treasury. He previously was the adjunct professor for 6 years at the New School for Social Research and the City University of New York. He has an impressive resume, and we'll have him talk a little bit about that, but his work and his focus has been on FREE. FREE is an organization it's incorporated as non-for-profit academic research institute, and it was founded on July 15th, 2015 by various retired PhD physicists, scientists, psychologists, and neuroscientists. We're going to talk about that right now, and thank you so much for being here tonight and spending your Friday with me.
Thank you, Erica. Thank you. It's an honor.
Well, and you were telling me before the show started that you just had a really great event in Florida. Will you tell us all about that?
Yes, unlike Contact in the Desert and unlike the International UFO Congress and these other capitalist money making corporations that are running these ufology conferences, Free had a major conference. It was a 1 day conference, and we charged $40. That's it, $40. We also had a very healthy lunch with also vegan lunches as well, with various juice or a choice of bottled water for $10. So for $50, you got to eat well, and you had four high-profile speakers. Mary Rodwell came in from Australia, and she, in my opinion, is the number one researcher on individuals that have had UFO-related contact experiences. She has worked with over 3,000 experiencers over 35 years. We also had Dr. Joseph Burks, who's a retired medical doctor, and he's a major experiencer as well. We had Dr. Bob Davis, who is a retired professor of neuroscience, and he's a member of our board of directors and also co-chair of our experiencer research study. And I was the fourth speaker, and I attended University of California, Berkeley for a PhD in urban planning. I was a professor for 8 years at at the New School for Social Research and at the City University of New York, and I also taught classes at the University of California, Berkeley, as well. And it was well attended. We had 100 individuals in attendance, and I would say 75% of them were experiencers. We had several medical doctors that attended, several attorneys, at least four PhD psychologists that attended as well. And Kathy Martin attended. She didn't speak, but she attended with Denise Stoner. So it was highly received.
I am so happy to hear that, because it is really, really hard to start something like this, to get people to attend, to get momentum building up. I mean, it is truly a labor of love. And I heard you on another interview, and you were talking about how much personal time you would sacrifice to get all of this up and running. And that's something that I think most people who are critical don't understand, is how much time we take away from our families, and we don't focus on business or all of these other things to focus on this.
Well, we at Free have spent thousands of hours on this, not only myself, but we also have retired PhD academics involved, and non-PhD researchers. Dr. Bob Davis, who's the co-chair of our research study, he's been working with me and other members of our organization 4 or 5 hours a day. This is now for almost 4 years. Dr. John Klimo, who's a retired professor of psychology, he's one of the world's leading academics on the paranormal. Again, same thing. And he's working on the analysis of our Phase 3 survey. We have Dr. Russell Scalpone, who is also a PhD. He's our statistician. Again, we just had a meeting that lasted 2.5 hours today, and we do this on a weekly basis because we're preparing 2 academic papers, which is a statistical analysis of our Phase 1 and Phase 2. Which has been accepted in one of the leading peer-reviewed journals for what is called, fringe science. We're talking about ESP, telepathy, out-of-body experiences, near-death experiences, remote viewing, consciousness. That's the journal for the Society for Scientific Explorations, and almost everyone involved in that organization has a PhD, and so we've been spending hundreds of hours. Mary Rodwell, Kathy Martin, they've been very, very helpful in the support aspects for Free, because we also have a support wing, and numerous other people within our organization. We also, unlike these other organizations that are out there that literally have a war chest filled with monies, Free only has several $100s in our account. And we managed to pull this conference We made a tiny bit of money, but our objective was just the mission to get the word out, to get experiencers together here in the entire state of Florida. And I think we were successful with that. So, and again, many periods of my time, my wife is always complaining because I give more time to the organization than to my family. But that's what's needed to accomplish your mission and your goals.
And it's really stressful. I think anybody that has an experience or anybody that comes into this field looking for answers or people that research or try to push the boundaries, I mean, this is incredibly difficult on close relationships or business, how you're viewed in the business world. And I commend anybody that can do that and get out there and do the work, because this to me is a really critical subject.
Yes, yes, and your audience members might not know what we're doing in free. And can I take this opportunity to tell folks
Yes.
what our organization?
Please.
The formal name of our organization is the Dr. Edgar Mitchell Foundation for Research into Extraterrestrial and Extraordinary Experiences. We changed our name around 9 months ago. The organization was co-founded by the late Apollo astronaut Dr. Edgar Mitchell, also by Dr. Rudy Shields, who is a 74-year-old emeritus professor of astrophysics at Harvard University. And he's one of the world's leading astrophysicists, and actually pointed out 20 years ago that Stephen Hawking was completely wrong on his theory of black holes. And now everyone accepts Rudy's version and not Hawking's version of black holes. And Dr. Rudy Shield, is the executive director of FREE. The other co-founder is Mary Rodwell, who I mentioned before is one of the world's leading non-academic researchers on UFO-related contact experiencers, and I was the fourth co-founder. FREE is a 501c3 academic research foundation. We are not a ufology organization. We have zero interest in nuts and bolts ufology, in looking at photos, videos, and nuts and bolts types of issues. Our main focus is to try to begin to understand what is consciousness, what is the true nature of our reality. And that has been a lifelong goal of the late Dr. Edgar Mitchell. In 1972, he founded the Institute for Noetic Sciences, which now is the leading institute that researches the science of consciousness. The most well-known individual out of IONS is Dr. Dean Radin, and he's published 3 books on consciousness and has published hundreds of peer-reviewed academic papers. These are scientific papers on telepathy, precognition, and numerous thematic related type of topics. So our interest is what is the nature of our reality? Okay, what is consciousness? And we believe that the key to understanding this topic, this question, is by understanding and academically researching the experiencers of what we call the contact modalities. The contact modalities are the different ways that humans are piercing the veil and having contact with non-human intelligence. For example, near-death experiences. There are literally thousands of books on NDEs. There are numerous PhD professors and medical doctors that have done scientific research on near-death experiences. The whole field of communication with ghosts and spirits and the paranormal. The shamanic journeys, individuals that take hallucinogens and having contact with non-human intelligence. The field of out-of-body experiences. That's another way where individuals are traveling to other dimensions and having contact with non-human intelligence. The phenomenon of channeling and remote viewing. Many of the people in the UFO field are familiar with remote viewing. And obviously UFO contact with non-human intelligence. FREE has the hypothesis that all of these diverse contact modalities, the different ways that humans are piercing the veil and having contact with non-human intelligence, they're not separate phenomena, but they are all of them are one phenomenon. and the glue that holds it all together is consciousness. And one theory that we're working on, which is the theory that Rudy and Edgar have been working on for over 20 years, is the quantum hologram theory of physics and consciousness. Now, this is the theory that was developed over a 40-year period by numerous PhD physicists, starting with David Bohm, who was one of the world's leading theoretical physicists in the 20th century. He was a contemporary and a colleague of Albert Einstein. And he's acknowledged as one of the top 10 theoretical physicists in the 20th century. That the work was continued with Sir goodness, my Alzheimer's is kicking in. Goodness, he's there's only two sirs in physics in the UK. One is Stephen Hawking, and the other one is oh my goodness.
I know. I should know this too.
My Alzheimer's is kicking in, but basically he continued the work of David Bohm, and this gentleman who my Alzheimer's is just completely kicked in here, is also considered one of the world's leading theoretical physicists. And he's written several recent articles on consciousness with Stuart Hamroff, Pembroke. Goodness. My goodness. Okay, I'll get it one of these days.
Well, and I'm looking right now.
Yes, it's.
And if any of you chat has any, I'm sure you know this. It's
my goodness. It's like we've written several papers quoting his work for so many years. So getting back to this whole topic, that all of these contact modalities are all interrelated, and it's not one. Okay, and I'm still trying to remember that name. I'll
don't
give
even
that
worry
up.
about it. You just keep talking about that, and then
Okay, all right, yeah.
Yep.
And for example, let me give you a couple of examples. Okay, with near-death experiences, you're having individuals that floating out of their body. They're seeing their body underneath. They're hearing everything. Okay. And then they are going into other dimensions. They're seeing deceased relatives. They're then interacting with a being they associated as God, and are given information. They're given a life review. What does that tell us about our reality? Okay. Roger Penrose. I finally got the name. Sir Roger Penrose. Okay.
Yay!
Got it. So what I'm saying is that this quantum hologram theory of consciousness and physics is a physics-driven theory which explains the multiverse, the multiverse nature of our reality that stores information, okay, and consciousness. Then you have people that are having these out-of-body experiences. Numerous people in out-of-body experiences are traveling to other dimensions where they're interacting with non-human intelligence. All of the major remote viewers, you name them, all of them that have written articles or books, all of them have described remote viewing where they're interacting with non-human intelligence. Okay, the people that have had major out-of-body experiences, Robert Monroe, for example, who's probably the number one person that everyone always mentions, in his various books, he talks about going out of body and having interactions with non-human intelligence, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Channeling. That's another major phenomenon associated with communications with non-human intelligence. So what does all of these experiences tell us about our true nature of our reality? Okay. UFO contactees, we've had close to 35% of them state that that non-human intelligence has shown them their past lives. I mean, what does that have to do with the nature of our reality where they're physically brought forth in a past life? And in NDE, folks are shown a life review where they're physically reliving their experiences, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Okay, So what does all of this information tell us about what is our reality? What is consciousness? Okay, that's what we're trying to get at. Okay, now what we did is the first stab that we took at this was individuals that have had UFO-related contact experiences, and eventually we want to move into near-death experiences, out-of-body experiences, remote viewers, etc. So we can do this comparative approach to understand the nature of their experiences. Now, why did we touch upon UFO contact experiences? And let me just ask you, what academic research studies that you are aware of, Erica, are you aware of experiencers, of people that have had UFO-related contact experiences? Are you aware of any statistical studies or any academic studies in this arena?
No.
No, it doesn't exist. The most formidable study that was ever done was one that was done by Kathleen Martin and Denise Stoner, but they only had 50 individuals. Most of these were abductees, and most of them were known to them in the first place. And again, the questions, they only had 50 questions, so it was an extremely limited type of research. So in other words, we know jack squat about what's really happening with experiencers. You have thousands of books that are out there, okay? You have thousands of people appearing on radio shows, but in terms of comparing the same question, asked to all of these individuals, that's never been done before. And our free experiencer research study is the first comprehensive academic research study that has ever been done on UFO contact experiencers.
And that is wonderful. And I know that you have worked so hard and you are so passionate about all of this. And this is right now, to me, we've got 3 minutes to break, but I just want to say that this is a really crucial time in the field, in the world. And I think that there is some interesting dynamics going on. And I'm going to talk to you about that and more about what Free is doing with all of these studies and consciousness. I have a question in chat that I will be asking you when we get back. And can you just tell us where we can find you and when you are going to be out lecturing again?
Okay, surely. Just one quick question. How much time do we have for the entire show?
We have 2 hours, so we've got
plenty of time.
Yep.
Okay. Our website is experiencer.org. That's experiencer.org. And there we have hundreds of articles on consciousness, the quantum hologram theory of physics, and also we have a summary of our experiential research study. We have links to our first research paper that was written by 5 PhD academics. We also have links for folks to take our survey, which I can go into later on. And plus, we have a support program, which we can talk to later on. We have over 200 individuals that are providing support to experiencers, and the link is on our website.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm really excited to have you here tonight, and I want to thank all of you in chat. I know we've got more questions there. We will be answering those. I am Erica Lukes here with UFO Classified. Stick around for a wonderful night of strong, independent females on KCOR. I want to just tell my producer and station owner, Tina Marie, how much I appreciate her, how much integrity she has, and I have to say that every time because I'm blessed to be here. We will be right back.
Stand by. This is UFO Classified with Erica Lukes. Erica Lukes. The phone lines are open now at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio. More UFO Classified. UFO Classified with Erica Lukes on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. After this.
Paranormal radio never sounded so good. Join the hosts of the American Ghost Hunter Show each week as they shoot from the hip without holding back.
They're kind of unpredictable, not like the rest of us.
Live every Thursday night, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Come hear some of the hottest authors, investigators, as well as TV and radio personalities from around the world on the American Ghost Hunter Show.
Our survival depends upon it.
hauntings, UFOs, cryptos. If it's branded paranormal, we'll be talking about it. The American Ghost Hunter Show. Live Thursday nights, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. The only question you have to ask yourself, are you ready for it?
Yeah! All right!
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. A lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
That's just one adoption story that started at a shelter. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society.
Now, broadcasting in digital HD radio.
What if maintaining a healthy weight was as simple as drinking a cup of coffee? With Valentis coffee, it's that easy. Harvested from the world's most pristine coffee farms and packed with the purest ingredients on earth, Valentis takes losing weight to a completely new level. At Valentis, we believe everyone deserves a chance to be healthy and fit. It's pure, natural, healthy, and delicious. Click the Valentis Healthiest Coffee banner on the KCOR Digital Radio Network website and take the Weight Loss Guarantee Challenge. Valentis Coffee, simply the world's healthiest coffee.
Here's what happened on the last episode of Three Guys, No Ties.
How does this technology not scare the hell out of you?
It does scare the hell out of me.
Have you never seen either version of Westworld, for God's sake?
I've seen both. Got some hot robots.
Do you not own a pair of vice grips or any kind of anything with moving parts whatsoever?
No.
And it's not creepy at all.
I like the real thing. Thank you.
And when the junk gets hung up, just shut the power off.
Three Guys, No Ties. Wednesday nights, 7 to 9 Pacific on the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
I'm jumping in with my clothes on.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to UFO Classified with Erica Lukes, where the truth isn't hidden beneath the black lines of a Sharpie.
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
To be on with Erica, call 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio.
Radio contact.
Share your thoughts on the show on Twitter by using hashtag KCOR. Or head over to the live chats at KCORradio.com.
The audience goes nuts.
And now, your host of UFO Classified.
Are you ready?
Erica Lukes.
Erica Lukes.
Welcome back. I am here tonight with a very exciting interview. I am speaking with Ray Hernandez, who is one of 4 co-founders of FREE, the Dr. Edgar Mitchell Foundation for Research into Extraordinary Encounters. And I am happy to have you here, Ray. We were talking about Dean Raid, and we were talking about consciousness, all of these things that you were doing with FREE. And we have some questions I want to get to in the chat room really quick. One is from Libertas, and he says, Ray, what are the main goals of FREE, and will you participate in pushing for government disclosure?
The main goals of FREE is to begin to understand what is consciousness, what is the true nature of our reality. We're doing that by, as I said earlier, researching individuals of the various contact modalities. Our first approach is to get basic data on individuals that have had UFO-related contact experiences. And I can go over those findings and our major findings in a couple of minutes. And much of our findings totally contradict what's circulating on the internet, on YouTube, on websites. All of these UFO conferences totally contradicts what these so-called experts are pushing out. That's number one. In terms of us pushing for disclosure, we have disclosure right now from the bottom up. Okay, we have almost 5,000 people that have taken our surveys in 5 major languages, and very soon we're going to be coming out with a major documentary on experiencers. So we are pushing for disclosure, but this is coming from the bottom up. And that's the only way that it could realistically come out. Because so what if the government comes out? Yes, UFOs exist. To me and all the other experiencers that have seen UFOs and have had contact with non-human intelligence, it's like big deal. But besides the nuts and bolts junk that's being circulated at these UFO conferences for the last 40 years, how much more do you know about this phenomenon? Okay, Zippo,
Right.
nothing.
Right.
This disclosure is not going to give us those answers or beginning to answer those questions. It's the experiencer that's going to give us that information.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. I mean, I think that's we have just been spitting in the wind in ufology, and it's unfortunate that people don't. I mean, I think the tide is changing and people are understanding the need for real quick change and shifting the sentiment, because we're really, I mean, we're undermining everything that we're trying to do.
Yep. Is there another question? If not,
If there
I can
is
go
another
into-
question, yeah. So
Yeah.
Amy Collins wants to know regarding the survey, would those that have had negative experiences be less inclined to take the survey or to speak of the experience at all?
No, I mean it's when we didn't publicize the results of our survey for almost 2 years. So people didn't know what responses were coming in. Okay, our questions were very neutral based. For example, I could go, let me go over one question. Okay, how did ET contact change your life? Very straightforward, right? The responses were highly positive effect on changing your life, slightly positive effect on changing your life, neutral effect on changing your life, slightly negative effect on changing your life, highly negative effect on changing your life. So our questions, we're not leading questions like someone posted, I guess, in your Facebook site a couple of minutes ago.
Right.
These were straight, neutral, objective type of questions. And also, we didn't want to bias anyone that was taking our surveys. So for 2 years, we didn't release our data. Okay. And so, and also the way we approached it in our organization, we had individuals with different perspectives of this phenomenon. We had individuals that saw this mainly as positive. We had another individual that saw it mainly as negative. The vast majority of people were like, let the data speak for itself. We know nothing about this phenomenon. We just know the experiencers that we've contacted with and we're working with, but we really have no data. We don't really know what's going on. So that's the approach that Free took, that we really don't know anything about this phenomenon and let the data speak for itself. So it would not be any proclivity for anyone that's had either positive or negative experiences to either take the survey or not take the survey.
So I have to ask, we have another question. Are the findings of the survey listed on your website?
What we have is we have a summary of the survey findings. It's a summary, and it's on our website. I think it's like a 14-page document that we grouped them into different categories. And I will be going over those categories now in a couple of minutes. So it's all on our website, and the document is 13-page document.
That is wonderful. And let's go over those right now, because this is important and it's really fascinating to me.
Okay, just to reiterate again, no one has ever done what we're doing. So in essence, everyone was totally clueless as to what really is going on. Okay. We have our surveys comprised of 3 surveys. Phase 1 and Phase 2 are quantitative in nature. That means that you have to check off a specific box out of different choices. The survey was developed by a team of retired PhD academics working jointly with researchers, people like Mary Rodwell, Rosemary Ellen Guiley, Kathleen Martin, for example. And then on the researchers, we had Dr. John Klimo, who's written hundreds of articles on different paranormal experiences, including UFO contact experiences. We had Dr. Leo Sprinkle, who was the first academic to write academic articles on abductees. Okay, we had Dr. Bob Davis, we had Dr. Rudy Shields, we had Edgar Mitchell, we had Dr. Claude Swanson, who's a PhD physicist. So these are all retired PhDs that were working with researchers to come up with this research study. So phase 1 and phase 2 is 600 quantitative questions. Phase 3 is qualitative in nature, comprised of written responses to 70 open-ended questions. There, people are actually able to write out the details for these 70 questions. So if you found that the questions were quite limiting, that look, it didn't exactly, I couldn't exactly check off that box very well. In phase 3, you're able to articulate the details of your experience. And then phase 4 is we're going to be picking up the top 200 experiencers and do full in-depth interviews with these 200 individuals. Okay, so that's our research study. Now, in terms of the major findings, okay, there are numerous types of findings, hundreds of findings, because we had 600 questions. But the most important categories overall, what I would say, is as follows. Number 1, okay, this was a positive experience for the vast majority of individuals. Okay, let me go over some of the data. Okay. Overall, 85% of the individuals stated that their contact experiences with non-human intelligence was positive. 84% did not want their ET contact experiences to stop. So if this was such a horrid and negative experience, why did 84% say, keep it coming, baby, keep it coming? Okay? 9.7% believe that non-human intelligence are bad or malevolent. 62% have stated that non-human intelligence have actually tried to help them. 71% feel an expanded consciousness in the presence of non-human intelligence. Now let's go over some specific questions. I asked earlier, how did ET contact change your life? Okay, 51% said it was highly positive, effect in changing their life. 51%, highly positive. Almost 22% slightly positive. 16.5% said neutral. 6.7% said slightly negative, and 4.3% said highly negative effect on changing their life. So the negative effect on changing their life was, 12%? Okay, and only slightly negative was only 6.7, and highly negative was 4.3. But the larger numbers, highly positive effect in changing their life was 51%, and slightly positive was 21.7%. Okay, now we asked individuals to describe their experiences. What we found out was that the vast majority of individuals are having 20 or more experiences, contact experiences. Just to backtrack, we asked the individuals in the instructions to respond only to conscious, explicit memories, not to hypnotic regressions, not to lucid dreams. Okay, when you talk and interview many experiencers there, they will tell you the whole history of their experiences. But what they fail to tell you is that some of those experiences were drawn from hypnotic regression, and some of those were from lucid dreams. Okay, same thing with all these ufology books that are out there. Okay, people don't tell you, well, that was from a lucid dream, or that was from a hypnotic regression. Okay, we asked individuals only conscious, explicit memory. And that's what separates us from the other, ufology researchers that are out there. So we asked this question, how would you characterize your contact experiences? We asked 2 series of questions. One was your first few experiences. Then the other question was your last few experiences. What we noted was that the first few experiences, 38% were considered negative. Okay? When we asked them to consider their last few contact experiences, less than 20% were negative. So it's a dramatic shift towards the positive. Why? Because the more experiences you have, the more positive they become. Also, your reflection on the experiences changes. Okay? Well, we found out that the people that have had the most negative experiences were the people that only had a few experiences, 1 or 2. And most of these were the people that have had abduction-related type of experiences, where they were paralyzed and they were being medically checked. And people that have had sperm take them out or ovum take them out, that type of thing. Those are the most traumatized. Now, there are many, many people that have had these medical procedures and have had, these breeding types of procedures done. But they subsequently had multiple different types of experiences afterwards. The vast majority of people now see themselves as contactees, not abductees. Why? Because the nature of the experience changed. Instead of being checked out in paralyzed in a slab, okay? Now they're being shown how the craft works. They're being shown how the craft operates. They were able to operate the craft. They were given tours of the craft. They also other types of beings began interacting with them, not just the Greys, but human-looking beings. The human-looking beings would be teaching them about multidimensional reality, about the spirit world. Some of them were brought to show what death is like. They were brought to other dimensions. Okay, so most of these experiences start off as a typical the negative ones, as the typical abduction type of experiences, but then transcend into much more complicated interactions and more positive interactions. So let me give you a question of the last few contact experiences. 34.4% said that they were conscious contactees, egalitarians, an equal relationship. 35.1% said you are not an abductee, but a contactee, whether you're being treated with respect and understanding. So right there, 70% are contactees. They're not abductees. 8.6% said it was still a case of abduction, but where they sought my permission. They were more humane, compassionate treatment. Okay? 13.5% said it was still a case of abduction, but a milder kind, a slightly more caring kind. And only 8.3% said it was a case of abduction of the most negative kind. Okay, so you got now 70% of the people that have had these abduction type of experiences now call themselves contactees. Okay, and then for the different types of beings, okay, we asked individuals to articulate the type of beings that they saw and interacted with. The number one type of being was the energy being at 55%. Okay, we then asked them to state their experience with the being. Was it mainly positive, slightly positive, neutral, slightly negative, or mainly negative? Okay, so let me just focus on the mainly negative type of experiences because that's all the disinformation that's being put out on the internet.
Right, exactly.
Okay, let's start with the energy being. First of all, that's the number one type of being seen, not the Greys. Is the energy beings at 55%. Number two, human-looking beings. Okay, the negativity experience with the energy beings is only 6.7%. Okay, with the human-looking beings, it's only 5.2%. Were mainly negative, and again, the vast majority were not Palladian type of beings. The vast majority were human-looking beings dressed in white monk's robes that look very, very similar to us. Okay, look exactly like us for the vast majority, except they wore white monk's robes, the vast majority of them. There were other types of robes, brown robes, for example, but the vast majority were white robes and white tunics. So that's 52%. 50%, right up behind, is the small Greys. Now, let me ask you, Erica, what percentage do you think of these small Greys people stated that their experiences were mainly negative?
That's a great question, and I know you're going to answer that.
Okay, just off the top of your head. From what you hear on the internet.
Well, I mean, it would seem like 90% of the interactions with Greys would be negative.
Okay, small Greys, 11.5% said the experiences were mainly negative. That's it, 11.5. Do you know how many people had communication and contact with small Greys?
No.
Almost 1,100 people. Okay, now, does that rock ufology?
It definitely rocks a few prominent people in ufology's viewpoints.
Okay, that's the data for more than 1,100 individuals that had interactions with small Greys. And again, they are at 50%. They're not number one. Okay, now, the countries that took our surveys, the English language, 104 countries. All right, all over the world. Okay. Now, the next type of entity was the spirit or the ghost beings. Okay. That was at 47%. Negative was only 7.4%. Now, the tall grays. 34% of these individuals had interactions with tall grays. Only 12.5% stated that their experiences were mainly negative. That's it, 12.5% with the tall grays. The reptilians, the evil, dreaded reptilians. 1/4, 25% of the individuals had encounters, direct physical encounters with reptilians. Now, what would be your guess of these evil, dreaded reptilians? What percent would say it was mainly negative?
Oh boy, I mean, I would say 95%.
Okay, 23% were mainly negative. That's it. And then once we analyze phase three is where they write out the details of their experiences. We reviewed the people that had contact with reptilians. Almost all of them stated that the reason why it was a negative experience was because what it looked like, not what it did. These were beings that were 7 to 8 feet tall, 300 to 400 pounds, solid muscular beings with the head of a crocodile. Totally scared shitless when they had these physical encounters with these beings. That was the vast majority why they checked off that mainly negative. Not that the being did anything to them. Okay? That's it. So that's another area that totally rocks with the perception out there. Insectoid or the mantid beings, 21%, 1 out of every 5 people. Okay? Only 9.5% said it was mainly negative. Okay? We also had 14% saw small animal beings, and 13% saw tall animal beings. And that was for small animal beings was only 5.8%. The tall animal beings was 9.6%, and there was an other category. And then, so again, that gives you a very good idea of the hundreds and hundreds. In the cases of the energy beings, the human-looking beings, and the small grays, we're talking over 1,000 people that had experience with each of these type of entities, and it's not what the internet is stating what it is. And then we asked questions like, if you could stop your ET contact, would you? And the number was 83% no, keep it coming, baby, and many other types of questions like that. So that was the first category, that this was mainly a positive experience. The other main category is that ET contact is primarily a paranormal experience among all the different contact modalities. And let me go over some of these things. Okay, 95% have had a paranormal experience in their home. 81% stated that they have had an out-of-body experience. Isn't that a huge number? 81%. Okay.
That's interesting.
37% that they have had a near-death experience. 76% have seen a ghost or a spirit. 67% have had a past life memory. 47% have met and conversed with a deceased person. 29% have channeled non-human intelligence. 49% have seen themselves in their body or in their consciousness out in space, leaving planet Earth. 45% have memories of visiting what is commonly called the spirit world. 40% have physically seen an orb. Okay, 47% have seen what is commonly called shadow people. These dark streets of these humanoids, very thin, streaking around their home. 60% have repeatedly experienced objects moving in their home without any logical explanation. 1,345 have had missing time. Okay, there's also telepathic communications. 1,636 have received telepathic messages. Out of these, 1,010 have been downloads of advanced science, physics, or technology. Isn't that interesting? Okay, a huge number, almost 50%, have received downloads of advanced science, physics, and technology. Okay, in terms of the telepathic messages received, 68% said that it was information that was relevant to that person. 51% that it pertained to spiritual or religious issues. 51% were philosophical or metaphysical. 35% were scientific or technical in nature. 34% were social political in nature. 45% concerned human behavior. That were mostly ecological information that we're destroying our planet. 26% were concerned specifically with advanced physics. So, as you could see, this is the whole cornucopia of the contact modalities that people are having. So it's not just UFO contact that they saw a UFO. They're having all of these diverse paranormal experiences all wrapped up as one.
Right, exactly, and I think that is critical. And I've always, since I really got involved in quote unquote ufology, it has been shocking to me to see how people try to label and separate each of these things, because you can't throw out the data, and I think that it's important that we really look at that. So that's good that you're doing that.
Yeah, this data is from 3,700 individuals that have taken phase 1. We've had 2,000, almost 500 people that have taken phase 2. And now for phase 3, which are the major experiencers, we have almost 1,400 individuals that have taken phase 3, which is the written responses. So it's, and again, this is over 104 different countries from all over the world.
And that's incredible. And I just want to ask you, we've got one minute before break, but I want to say, did you ask any of these people if they'd had health effects?
Oh, yes. 50% of these individuals have stated, yes, I have had a medical healing by non-human intelligence. And then obviously there are other issues of the medical exams, of the breeding program, and other aspects of it. But those aspects are well known in ufology. But the aspect that is not well known is that 50% of these individuals have had a medical healing. And in my family, that was one of the cases.
And then I will talk to you about that when we get back from break. I want to say just thank you to all of you. There are lots of great questions tonight in chat. Thank you to all of my listeners worldwide for tuning in and supporting the show. And this show is supported by the listeners. And I want to thank the special person that has donated to my show. That is very kind of you. I don't know your name, but it means the world to me. And it's how I keep going with the show. So we're going to take a break. We are going to be back with Ray Hernandez. We're talking more about free. Catch you on the other side of the break.
Listen very carefully.
This is Houston. Say again, please. Houston, we've had a problem.
This is UFO Classified, live every Friday night, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. The truth is out there, just waiting to be discovered.
And now, if you will, accompany me on a journey to the future.
For more information on the host of UFO Classified, Erica Lukes, upcoming guests, as well as links to the past shows,
visit her website at ufoclassified.com.
UFO Classified.
UFO Classified.
This is KCOR Las Vegas, home of the Digital Radio Network, broadcasting from a shack just south of Area 51. Wait, that doesn't exist. This is the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Now for the news.
Now, broadcasting in digital HD radio.
The disc landed at a ranch at Corona, New Mexico. The rancher turned it over to the Air Force. Rancher W.W. Brazil was the man who discovered the saucer.
What I thought was a star began coming in my direction at a very rapid rate of speed.
The unidentified object, which some sources thought might be a blimp, moved slowly down the Pacific coast from Santa Monica and disappeared south of Long Beach.
I saw a UFO, and it went down the river, turned right at the United Nations, turned left, and then down the river.
UFO Classified.
UFO Classified.
No more plausible deniability. Fact, fiction, or the truth. You decide. And now, the new voice of the high desert, the hostess of UFO Classified, Erica Lukes.
Welcome back and happy Fantopia Friday. Make sure you stick around for an incredible night with brilliant women. We have got Tina Marie, who is coming up, Solaris Blue Raven, and this is going to be a wonderful night, so make sure you stick around. I want to just give props to Tina Marie because last weekend she interviewed Dr. John Alexander, and that was a really good interview. I was just so excited to listen to that. So if you get a second to listen to the archives and listen to that interview, it's a really important and great interview. So yay, Tina, you rock. But I tell you that all the time. I am here now with one of the co-founders of Free. Ray Hernandez is joining me, and he is someone who has a lot of experience in the field and has critics that are very harsh towards him. And I think that Ray is a very strong person. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about these dealings with the critics in the field. But first I want to continue with the phase 3 of the survey and where we were going before we left off.
Yes, these are actually the 3 major findings. I went over that this was mainly a positive experience. Number 2, that this is mainly a paranormal experience. The whole cornucopia of paranormal experiences experiencers are going through. And the number 3 major finding, this is the most important finding, is that this experience of contact with UFO-related contact with non-human intelligence involves a complete psychological transformation towards the positive of the individual. And one of the very few academic research studies that were ever done on UFO contact experiencers, this was mainly focused on abductees, was done by Dr. Kenneth Ring. Dr. Kenneth Ring is now a retired professor of psychology at the University of Connecticut. And he is one of the world's leading academics on near-death experiences. He was one of the individuals that actually started the Institute for Near-Death Studies with Raymond Moody. And he published in 1989 a book titled The Omega Project. And in that book, which was a statistical study comparing roughly 90 individuals that had abduction type of experiences with 100 individuals that had near-death experiences. And as I said before, that's one of the very few statistical studies on UFO-related contact experiencers. And what he focused on in a series of his questions, he had almost more than 50 questions related to how did these people change according to certain type of worldviews. And what we did is, what he concluded was that 85% of these individuals had complete psychological profile transformations towards the positive. And what we at Free did is we duplicated those 50 questions and we asked it in our survey. And I want to be able to go over some of those data findings. And this, to every member at Free, is the number 1 finding of our research study. We asked the question, did your concern or viewpoint in this particular area strongly increased, increased slightly, remained the same, decreased slightly, or strongly decreased? Okay, so let me go over the categories of strongly increased. Okay, strongly increased. This is how did these experiences change you? Okay, strongly increased. My concern with spiritual matters. People became highly spiritual after undergoing these experiences. My desire to help others. Before, that wasn't there. Okay, now, totally helping others. My compassion for others. My appreciation of the ordinary things in life. My ability to love others. My tolerance of others. My insight into the problems of others. My concern with the welfare of the planet. People became, much more ecologically friendly. My understanding of what life is all about. Now they've got some answers. Before, they were pretty clueless. My concern with ecological matters. My conviction that there is life after death. all of these were strongly increased. All of a sudden, people are not scared of death anymore. And again, this is just a sample of the 50 questions that we asked. Now, let me go over some of the questions that responded as strongly decreased. Okay? Strongly decreased. My concern with material things in life. All of a sudden, the people that couldn't wait till a new Mercedes-Benz model came out, all of a sudden they're driving Honda Accords or fuel-efficient energy vehicles. Okay? My interest in organized religion. And my wife is an example of that. Not so much because I was never religious, but my wife was. My wife was. Every Sunday we had to go to church. Okay, every Thursday we had to go to group prayer meetings, and now we're lucky if we go to church every 3 or 4 months. Okay, my fear of death, again, strongly decreased. My desire to become a well-known person, again, the ego is strongly decreased. Okay, we can eliminate Stephen Greer from that. Okay, so that.
Do you care to elaborate on that one?
No, I won't. No, I won't.
Okay,
People,
okay.
if they know
All
this
right.
guy, they know who he is. Okay.
Yeah, I got it.
So this will tell you, the true experiencers. Overall, 85% of these people have undergone these strong psychological profile changes, and it matches exactly the data findings of Dr. Kenneth Ring, except he did it with 90 people. Okay, we did it with thousands of people. This is phase 2. This is 2,400 individuals. So that is the number one finding of our research study. So my response is, damn, why don't you let the whole world have ET contact? If they're being totally transformed, okay, to become more spiritual, more compassionate to others, okay, the ability to love others, tolerate others, the welfare of the planet. They're not concerned about the death process. Okay, they have a better understanding of what life is all about. Hey, let the whole world be filled with ET contact. That's my response to that.
And it's an interesting response. I just have to interrupt you and ask you this because I, am looking into Skinwalker Ranch in the Uinta Basin and these areas, and it appears that the experiences there are quite negative from what the witnesses report. And so I wonder if there are places in the world where you're seeing more negativity, if there is something else involved, or what your take is on that.
Well, again, all hypotheses are open because we've had approximately 15% that have stated they've had negative responses. Okay, our approach in free is that we're still totally clueless. All these people that get paid thousands of dollars to talk at these UFO conferences, all these people on Gaia TV who act like they know it all these people also on Gaia TV who talk about 8 straight hours of having contact experiences almost on a weekly basis, okay? All these people come across as know-it-alls, where in fact we know absolutely nothing about this phenomenon.
Right.
It's an extremely complicated phenomenon. Edgar Mitchell told me many times, multiple times, he says, Ray, we know the equivalent of 1 grain of sand in an entire beach. And my response to him was, that is just one beach. That is just one universe. But then when you compound to that the multiverse, okay, we know nothing. So certainly there is that strong possibility that there might be, for example, negative spirits, deceased individuals, okay, that were negative beings here on Earth, that they never were able to transcend into the other reality when we die, that they still remain earthbound. Who knows? That's a hypothesis. That's a theory. So we're open to all options. But all we know is that for UFO-related contact experiencers from over 104 different countries, from over 3,700 responses, they're telling us what I've been going through. But that doesn't negate other possibilities as well.
Right. And, I'm sitting here, my wheels are turning, and I'm thinking how interesting it would be, or important it would be, to look at the geographical locations of people that have positives compared to negative experiences, and if there's any correlation. So
we did that. We did that. We have our PhD statistician, Dr. Russell Scalpone, analyzed over 20 variables, 20 questions along geographic areas. He grouped all of Europe together. He grouped the United Kingdom together. He grouped Canada together. He grouped the United States together. And then he grouped Australia and New Zealand together. And then he compared how people answered the questions. And there was very little variance among these geographic areas. Very little variance.
That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And that it surprises me because it when I'm looking at things and I'm researching things, like I said, there's this area, the Uinta Basin, specific areas where you see things that aren't necessarily positive from what witnesses are reporting, and then you look at the crime rates or other the health statistics, these things. I mean, is that related to being in close proximity to the phenomena? I mean, what are all of these things? But there's so many areas to study and so many places to go.
Well, as I said before, what we're doing is the first ever, and we're just doing a very simplistic survey. We've got zero funding to do this. We're doing it on our own free time as volunteers. If we had money, like some of these major UFO organizations are reaping in with their conferences, then we could do, expand our research study and become much, much more sophisticated. What we do know in Latin America, we have over 650 responses to our Spanish surveys. Overwhelmingly, the experiences are positive. We're talking about more like 92, 93%. Are mainly positive experiences.
And I think that's incredible. And I think, like you say, some of the organizations that are raking in money, and I've been very vocal about MUFON and the way they raise money and the 6-figure income that the executive director makes and people underneath him. And you see an organization that's basically just collecting data and then not doing anything with it. Not only that, but then you have high profile cases that don't appear to be in the database. And to me, this is curious. And I know that people who have had sightings have turned to different investigators in MUFON, have had very negative kind of they've been dismissed. And that's not the case for everyone, because I will just throw this out there. I know many good people involved in the organization, but I think the organization as a whole is not contributing to this field. In fact, it might be pushing people in the opposite direction. I mean, how do you feel about that?
Well, like just as you stated, I know many, many very, very good people associated with MUFON. And I think many people gravitate to MUFON because they are experiencers. They're looking for answers. They're looking for research. And MUFON for a very long time has been the only game in town. So they gravitate to that organization. However, MUFON, for example, the MUFON Hangar 1 show, they portrayed my own family's experiences where we actually had a medical healing in our family, which was a highly positive experience, can be categorized as angelic, because that's how my wife sees these experiences. And she's had multiple UFO sightings, as well as my daughter and I, very, very up close. They portrayed it in MUFON Hangar 1 as if these were negative, evil aliens attacking my home. That we were all petrified and horrified, okay? They took our MUFON report. They even had all of the drawings that we did, that we sent to MUFON as part of the investigation, including my legal letterhead, okay? My legal letterhead. And that's why I did many of these drawings. And I did it on that so I could try to get some credibility and say, look, this is an attorney that's doing this. And so it was definitely my case, okay, in all the drawings. But yet they presented it as negative, evil, alien contact, and headed up by John Ventry, who publicly has claimed, just like David Jacobs has claimed that he's never met an experiencer with a positive experience. So, these are the people. John Ventry, who's one of the leaders of MUFON Hangar 1, thank God it got canceled, associated with MUFON, and he was the MUFON director of 7 states, I think, for many, many, many years. These are the people that are heading on MUFON and that are directing this MUFON Hangar 1. Totally manipulating reports that are coming in. Also, MUFON just came out with a trailer titled Experiencers. I don't know if you've seen that trailer. Okay?
No, I haven't.
Trailer. Okay. Well, let me summarize it. It's 4 minutes of this. Oh no! They're hurting me! Ah! It includes 4 minutes
are
of
you
screaming.
kidding me?
And that's titled Experiencers. That's the MUFON trailer. Okay?
Oh, okay.
Now, does that trailer video, okay, reflect upon the data that we have received from almost 4,000 experiencers in the English language? No. No. Okay? So that is my response to what really is going on underneath the table.
And it's interesting because I could see some of these things as well. And I mean, for me, having had experiences, and sometimes I feel that maybe perhaps it's not beneficial, but I also feel that this is something that has shaped my life, and I think it is really almost it's unethical. It's just to push people in a direction where we're weaponizing space, where we are fearful of everything, where we're taking away our own personal power. And I see that happening. And with, I mean, you look at the speaker lineup at the symposium, you look at the sentiment, and like you said, that new trailer, that's pretty disturbing to me.
Now, just to reiterate again a little bit, okay? There are many individuals that have had negative experiences, okay? We've demonstrated that the alien breeding program is for real, okay? 530 individuals suspect, okay? They've got no proof, the vast majority of them, but suspect that they were involved in an alien breeding program, okay? We've had people that were actually shown hybrid children, okay? 194 people were shown hybrid children by non-human intelligence, okay? Medical exams, okay? 34% of the individuals consciously recall lying on a table and being medically examined by non-human intelligence, okay? Out of those 34%, 51% believe that they have an implant in their body. They don't have the proof of it, but they have a belief that they have an implant. We even have the locations where they believe the implant is in, okay? We have many people that have stated they've gotten scoop marks or puncture wounds that they've woken up with that they didn't have the night before, okay? But here's the key. Here's the important. Instead of just saying that these things occur, okay? Many individuals, over time, their experiences change from being primarily negative to primarily positive. Okay, instead of being on a slab table being medically inspected, the next time they're being given a tour of a craft. The next time they might be shown how to operate the craft. The next time they're giving messages of the spirit world. Then later on they might be brought to other dimensions. Okay, seeing their past lives, etc., etc. And as most of the people have had, the vast majority, more than 10 experiences. And even then, in terms of the groupings, over 20 experiences, I think it was 40% of these individuals have had more than 20 direct physical contact experiences with non-human intelligence. What we've shown is the more experiences you've had, the more positive you perceive these experiences, and the actual experiences change. So these are things that could never be derived by without a research study. And that's how we have shown just how complex this phenomenon is. That yes, there are many people that are describing these experiences as negative, but these are the individuals that have only had one or two experiences, and these are mainly the abductees that were mainly examined. So it's very complicated, Erica.
It absolutely is, and I think it's so hard when you don't have funding and you're grasping at straws, and you feel, and Free feels that there are all of these places to go, and then I'm over here with a few people thinking that we need to do this, but at some point in time, wow, we just need to join forces, and I think that we're all finding each other, and this is a really great thing, to push things forward, and I appreciate that.
Thank you, Erica. What you have is the madman controlling the ship, okay? Look at the major conferences that are out there in ufology. Contact in the Desert, okay? I mean, have any of these people that make these presentations ever presented an academic research study on experiencers, okay? Even the people that are experiencers, what percentage of those people are actually experiencers? How many of them are actually contactees? The name of the name is Contact, okay? Contact in the Desert. How many of them are contactees? Okay.
Exactly. Well, and that's the thing. And I was talking with somebody who's a pretty incredible researcher that I respect a lot. And I mean, that's That's basically what this person said to me. It's how can people, honestly, who haven't had experiences, I don't know, give input into this and give, push us in directions. But then again, you've got the fact that we should be separating research from personal experiences. I don't know. The whole thing is so complex.
Well, personal experiences are very valid, okay? But that's what we've been having for 40 years. People going on radio shows or people writing their books, talking about their own individual experience. What we have not had is someone asking the same questions over and over again in a neutral format in multiple languages all over the world, okay, and disseminating the information in a neutral format. That's what we've never had before. And now that we've done that, we're totally ignored. No one cares about what we're doing. All they care about is the sensationalism of this guy with the big hair sticking up talking about ancient aliens, or talking about Roswell again for the 400th time. That's what the field of ufology is all about, or the Mars hopping stuff, okay? Mm-hmm. And then when someone comes out, well, we've got your whole documented history of what you've done since you were 10 years old up until last year, and so you couldn't have been gone 17 years off to Mars killing thousands of evil reptilians, and so, oh no, well, what happened was that time skipped for me. They did the special, technology where I was gone for 17 years and they brought me back in time, okay? That's what all these Mars hoppers talk about. I mean, can you believe that bullshit? And MUFON presenting that as their main topic. And yet here we have a major research organization with all these PhD scientists and academics doing the world's first ever academic research. No one even cares about it. To me, it's just totally baffling.
Well, it is baffling, and I will say that I've talked about this before. When I was at UFO Congress last year speaking, I was very excited because they brought Erling Strand over, and I've got a break, so I will continue the story. I'm Erica Lukes here with Ray Hernandez. We'll be right back.
Stand by.
This is UFO Classified with Erica Lukes.
Erica Lukes.
The phone lines are open now at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio. More UFO Classified.
UFO Classified.
With Erica Lukes on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. After this.
There's a show that's not afraid to ask questions no one else will ask. Not afraid to say
what no one else will say.
Friday nights at 7 p.m. Listen to Restricted Airspace with Tina Marie, where no topic is off limits. Conspiracy theories, paranormal activities, hoaxes, the unexplained. It's what we talk about. Question everything. Trust no one. Restricted Airspace with Tina Marie. Friday at 7 p.m. on the KCOR Digital Radio Network out of Las Vegas, Nevada.
Looking for a radio show like no other?
We need something brand new.
Then tune into the KCOR Digital Radio Network, Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, and get ready for The Quantum Shift. A great shift of consciousness is sweeping across the Earth. Are you ready for the dimensional shift?
It is amazing, is it not?
The Quantum Shift, hosted by Dr. Sam Muggsy and Kent Dunn. Be part of the fifth dimensional reality, where consciousness prevails and the universal law of one is the only true reality. The Quantum Shift. Live Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
This is the world-famous KCOR.
That's the only station I listen to.
Friday night, 9 p.m. Pacific. Jump onto the Celestial Highway and travel at the speed of light. Into hyperspace. Hyperspace. Hosted by Solaris Blue Raven. She navigates you through the cosmic tides of mysticism into the world of covert technology, UFOs, mystical sciences, and the world of unforeseen forces.
You get to really sort of enjoy a bizarre ride.
Listen live Friday nights, 9 p.m. Pacific. For Hyperspace, the one show that blows the whistle off our government Black Ops projects. Hyperspace, hosted by Solaris Blue Raven. Solaris Blue Raven. Exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Want to take a ride? Take a ride. Take a ride.
Here's what happened on the last episode of Three Guys, No Ties.
How does this technology not scare the hell out of you?
It does scare the hell out of me.
Have you never seen either version of Westworld, for God's sake?
I've seen both. Got some hot robots.
Do you not own a pair of vice grips or any kind of anything with moving parts whatsoever?
No.
And it's not creepy at all.
I like the real thing. Thank you.
When the junk gets hung up, just shut the power off.
Three Guys, No Ties. Wednesday nights, 7 to 9 Pacific on the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
You're listening to
UFO Classified with Erica Lukes, where the truth isn't hidden beneath the black lines of a Sharpie.
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
To be on with Erica, call 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio.
Radio contact.
Share your thoughts on the show on Twitter by using hashtag KCOR. Or head over to the live chats at KCORradio.com.
The audience goes nuts.
And now, your host of UFO Classified.
Are you ready?
Erica Lukes.
Erica Lukes.
Welcome back. I'm Erica Lukes here on KCOR Digital Broadcasting Network. Make sure you find me on Facebook or go to UFOclassified.com. Send me your messages. I will try to respond as quickly as I can. And I know that sometimes I am a bit of a slacker, but I appreciate you reaching out to me. Please spread the word about UFO Classified. And I want to thank the very generous person who sends money, who donates money to the show. That means a lot to me. That's very kind of you. And next week I will be interviewing Fran Ridge, who will be talking about MADAR and NICAP and many other different things. This will be a great show. But tonight I am here with Ray Hernandez, who is the co-founder of Free. We have been talking about a lot of different things tonight, about the incredible work that they have been doing, but then also about some of the state of what's going on now. So Ray, where would you like to pick up?
Well, what I would like to is continue going with some of the survey data. Let me tell you some unusual things that people have stated about the actual beings. 35% of the individuals know when non-human. We don't refer to them as ET. We call them non-human intelligence or non-human intelligent beings. 35% know when they will be arriving. Okay, 332 have used a light instrument. We have had 30% have stated that they have reached an agreement with them for a future task. Isn't that interesting? 30% have reached an agreement. 78% stated that they have a personality. Okay, 45% have stated that that they have been playful with them. Again, these are things that ufology has totally clueless about. 56% that believe that non-human intelligence are with them most of the time. 47% that if they call to see a being, the being will appear to them. 82% believe that non-human intelligence can travel to the past and to the future. 97% believe that non-human intelligence can travel to other dimensions. Now let's go over what these beings told the experiencer. 25% stated that they told them of their mission here on Earth. 25% were shown how to do energy work. 21% were told that their DNA was unique. Overall, 45% have reached an agreement with non-human intelligence, which is different from the other question. The other question was 30% have stated that they have reached an agreement with non-human intelligence for a future task. But in terms of an overall agreement, 45%. 30% have agreed to be taken aboard a UFO craft. 19% have agreed to participate in the alien breeding program. 28% stated that they have told them where they are from. 41% told by non-human intelligence to share the information that they were given. 55% were given a message of love or oneness. 26% were given a message about reincarnation. 31% were given a message about God. 19% were told that these beings created humans. 26% were told that these beings have upgraded our human DNA. 30% were told by them about the death process, about the spirit world. 39% were given an environmental message about planet Earth. 34% were told about a future natural catastrophe. 26% were told that they were actually a non-human intelligence. You are part ET. 16% were told about soul swapping, exchanging bodies. Okay, your consciousness exchanging bodies. 24% were told by these beings that they interacted with them in a past life. 30% were told by non-human intelligence about the concept of time. 30% were told by non-human intelligence about the concept of a parallel universe. So these are not things that they believe. These are things that, quote unquote, ET, non-human intelligence, told the experiencer. What do you have to say about those statements?
It's incredible. I mean, so when you're looking at this and when you have the research team analyzing the data, I mean, how do you weed through this and how do you really get good data? Because, like we were saying, and I just want to throw this out there again, and I know you will respond, but there are people that criticize you saying that you're leading the people that are putting information into the survey.
Well, we asked 1 million questions, very direct questions. The good, the bad, and the ugly. And people responded with very specific questions. This was not like an open-ended questions where we led them. We asked them, yes, no, okay? Were your experiences highly positive, slightly positive, okay? Were they neutral? Were they slightly negative? Were they mainly negative? How in the hell is that a leading question? Okay?
Right.
All the issues that I've gotten to you, that I've stated before, these were not leading questions. They either checked off yes or no, or they checked the category, the degree of their experiences. Did you have a medical implant? Yes or no? Okay. Were you ever lying on a table? Okay. Were you medically examined by these beings while you were lying on the table? Okay. Yes or no? Okay. Do you believe that non-human intelligence has placed an implant in your body? How is that a leading question? Yes or no? And if yes, where do you believe the implant was placed? And then we have like 5 or 6 different categories. Okay, so whoever is stating that we have asking leading questions, these people have never even seen our survey. These are just these jerks that are just trying to destroy real academic research, which has never been done before. We also get some of these people that are saying, oh, your survey is all messed up, okay, because all of my experiences have been negative, and all the internet says that they're all negative, and all the YouTube videos I've watched state that's all negative, okay?
Oh.
So I said, well, you fall into that 15%. Okay? No, it's 100%, So you can't argue with people like that, okay?
Right.
And the internet is filled with tons of these types of people. And also tons of people who want to discredit what we're doing. And these people are not researchers. They've never done any research in the world, Like this guy, Vanini and Ritzman. These people were sending me emails even before our survey was launched, saying, oh, your study is completely flawed. You're using hypnotic regression. This is before we even launched the damn survey, okay? and until we showed them the instructions of the survey, it says, please use only conscious explicit memory. No, we will not allow responses via hypnotic regression or lucid dreams or anything else that's not conscious explicit memory. So that shut them up real quick. Okay. So these are the type of criticisms that we get all the time, but people that are non-researchers, they're non-academics, they're just plain jerks.
Well, it is an interesting field. I mean, I know that I've had my fair share of attacks from people and very shameful, in my opinion, degrading attacks as a woman, and it's curious to me to watch, and it seems to be a certain group that likes to really take after people, and they're not going to use, they're going to put nasty articles and pictures and all of these things out there. And I always say with the people that are criticizing me, it's like, have you contacted me? Have you reached out to me? Have you called me? And, if not, why?
Yeah. We've had several people write articles about our research study. None of these people have contacted anyone associated with free. Certainly none of the academics. We have written an academic research publication that clearly lists our research methodology in detail. Okay? So all these people are out there to attack. And then, again, these people are not academics. Okay? These are just people who hide behind a computer writing pseudo ufology books, which has given us nothing over the last 70 years. People like Nick Redfern. He in one of his books, he wrote a chapter of how Eisenhower made a secret deal with the devil, okay, that in return for alien ET technology, that the devil would unleash demons throughout the planet Earth. Well, Corey Good took that and ran with it, and is on his radio interview saying, yes, I believe that the devil made a secret deal with Eisenhower, and there's demons roaming all over the earth. Okay? I mean, that's the state of ufology.
Well, I will say in defense of Nick Redfern, because he is a friend of mine, and I think that he would never, I know that he's very guarded about the way he this is the information, and he's not going to give any thought about where you should go with the information.
But no, he presented the information. Okay, but what I'm saying is that there's people out there that'll get a story like this and run with it.
Right.
Okay,
right.
And these are people that are trying to collect millions of dollars. I think he has collected over $1 million already. This
Corey
guy,
Good.
Tom DeLong. Okay, Corey Good.
Okay, Tom DeLong. Right.
Yeah, Tom DeLong. Corey Good can fall into that too. Okay, but we're talking about now Tom DeLong, who has publicly stating, okay, that we need to weaponize space. We need to throw nuclear bombs out in outer space to quote unquote squash these UFO bugs. Okay, and on the Jimmy Church radio show, he publicly stated that he believes that Eisenhower made a contract with the devil to unleash these demons in return for alien technology. Okay, so these are the people that you've got that are being totally manipulated by military intelligence, that are fooling thousands of gullible people in ufology. Okay, and that's why this state of quote unquote ufology is in chaos. They're going over the Roswell cases for the millionth time in all these ufology shows. They're showing all these mummy slides that were, by this guy Hyman Maussan that was pushing. All these very big names went out there to Mexico City and again with these Inca Nazca mummies. And again, it's been totally debunked, all these things. But yet, that is the state of ufology. But yet, when true academic scientists are doing the world's first comprehensive academic research study on UFO-related contact experiencers that present the information publicly, unlike MUFON, which hides all of their data, we put it all on our website. Okay, we have all of our methodology on our website of what exactly we did to publicize this research. Okay, our organization has gotten zero funding and zero invitations to any conference whatsoever, and no one knows about what we're doing. Okay, but yet we're the only game in town.
And when you look at all of these things, I mean, do you feel sad that you're not speaking at these conferences? Because it just, sometimes you just think, wow, is this really what's happening? And I was mentioning the fact that Erling Strand was speaking at UFO Congress, and I was really excited that Alejandro Rojas brought him here because it was important to have him here, and I was grateful. But to see the people that listened to the most, in my opinion, one of the most important presentations that we could listen to, real scientific research, 35 years of it, and then you look at Colonel Halt that is standing room only out the door, and I just sat back and looked at that and the audience numbers, and I thought, this is really wrong. I mean, if we really care about the truth, we are not even paying attention.
Yeah, let me give you an example. I had a friend of mine here from Miami that went to Contact in the Desert last year. He said that Corey Good and David Wilcox sold out. They had the largest venues that I think some of these venues packed like hundreds and hundreds of individuals, okay? And they gave numerous presentations, even where you had to pay extra in certain venues to go see them. So people literally paid, thousands of dollars for this event. Okay, and yet Kathy Martin, he instead went to see Kathy Martin, and she had like a handful of people in her room. Okay, Kathy Martin, a serious researcher of experiencers and contactees and abductees, had almost nobody. But yet Corey Good, who's making up all this bullshit about contact, okay, gets thousands of people. And Gaia TV is publicizing all of this stuff. That, once again, tells you the state of ufology. I want nothing to do with ufology. Our board of directors wants nothing to do with ufology. But the shame of it all, Erica, the shame of it all, is that the people that attend these conferences, a good majority of them are contactees. They are experiencers. Okay, they are abductees, and they're trying to get answers as to what the hell is going on.
Right.
And by going to these conferences, they get absolutely zero answers.
No, they get manipulated, and I think
Yes.
that's really unfortunate because all of us are here because we've had profound experiences, and because we're looking for any group of people or researchers to help us through the process. And I think it is pretty shameful to see the manipulation that has taken place. And I encourage my listeners on a weekly basis to be thoughtful and to really sit back and look at your own experience and take that, and don't try to push it into any organization or belief system. I think it's imperative.
Yeah, no, it's many of these organizations that are out there, as you know, are just into total manipulation. With free, all we get is your data. The data is taken anonymously. We don't ask your name. We don't ask your address, your date of birth, social security number, none of these things. But yet, when you go to some of these organizations, you're going to give your name. You're going to give your address. You're going to give your date of birth. Everyone in your family, okay? And then your story will be totally manipulated. But our free research study is completely anonymous. And if anyone wants to take our study or learn about what we're doing, the numerous articles that we have a new free book that's coming out in May of 2018. It's going to be an 800-page book. And the title of our book is Beyond UFOs: The Science of Consciousness and Contact with Non-Human Intelligence. Beyond UFOs. Why? Because this has very little to do with UFOs. Okay? UFOs is just one component. So it's beyond UFOs. The science of consciousness. We have science behind all of this that we're trying to get at. And the key here is consciousness. So the science of consciousness and contact with non-human intelligence. And hopefully you'll bring me back on the show later on to talk about the details of
I will.
800-page book.
I'm so excited for you. And I have to ask you, because I know we've got people that want to know this, but MUFON, is that disinformation?
If you listen to what I've told the folks of my personal experiences, the conference that they just had overall, you'll make up your own decisions. I think it's if you add 1 and 1, they come up to 2.
And then Tom DeLonge, where he's obviously got the kind of the evil alien agenda. Should we be really paying attention to what's going on right now? Because is this an attempt to manipulate where we're going to weaponize space?
Well, he clearly stated it. And all people have to do is go to the Jimmy Church radio interview that he did with Tom DeLonge several months ago. And DeLonge publicly states it, that we need to weaponize space, that we need to nuclear bomb space, and we need to squash these UFO bugs. And he mainly sees them as negative. And he also publicly admitted that he's not an experiencer. He hasn't seen UFOs, that he's literally read hundreds of UFO books. That's where he gets his knowledge of this phenomenon. And that out of the blue, this general invited him to a top secret military base because he wanted to pick his intellectual brain about what's going on in ufology. No, BS. They saw that he was a gullible person, barely graduated high school, but he does have millions of followers because of his punk rock band. They overheard him talking about that he wants to weaponize space, that he sees these beings as negative, and they saw an opportunity to utilize him as the spokesperson for the alien false flag invasion theory that allows them to recoup millions of dollars so they can weaponize space. And look at all of his handlers. that on this program that he appeared the other day. These are all retired military intelligence. The only individual that he had that was a scientist was this individual, Hal Puthoff, who's received millions of dollars from military intelligence to do academic research study on wormholes, on zero-point energy fields, all advanced physics work. But this is a military intelligence operative.
And so when people say, and a lot of people have said, "Oh, it's just Tom DeLonge trying to make money," and all of this stuff. But I would love to have Tom on the show to answer questions about this. But I mean, people dismiss this, and I say, no, you need to sit back and you need to really look at what's going on.
Well, if you look at the public offering that he just did, he's getting $700,000 right off the top, and he's being paid $100,000 a year. You know what Ray Hernandez's salary is? It's minus $2,000 a year. That's how much I've had to pay out of my pocket. And also all of our board members have been spending hundreds, if not thousands, of dollars from their own pockets to be able to keep free afloat. Okay? So if anyone wants to promote disclosure, this guy's not promoting disclosure. He's just promoting the lining of his pocket and to publicly push out the weaponization of space and the false flag agenda of these evil alien invasion. In terms of disclosure, it's never going to happen.
Right. And I think that we all know, all of us, especially my listeners, we definitely understand that we are disclosure, that we're going to keep doing what we're doing. We're going to keep talking. We are going to really get things moving forward. And we know the truth. I mean, there is something interacting with us. We understand that. We don't need the government to disclose that to us. At least I don't, because it's like Don Quixote. We're going to run at windmills, and that's completely. We need to be a lot more proactive right now.
One of the models of the free organization, like a little jingle, is disclosure from the bottom up. Okay, and that's what we're doing. We've had in these 5 major languages over 5,000 individuals that are promoting disclosure from the bottom up. And that's what's taking place. If we can create an environment not for people to have fear and hostility, but an environment where experiencers can publicly talk to their family members, to their church members, to their friends, to their relatives, anyone about their experiences openly without fear and ridicule. That's what we're trying to establish. And once that is done, then we'll be able to fully implement disclosure from the bottom up.
And I think that is so incredible. Thank you very, very much for being here tonight. And I think that the bottom line is the fact that there is something that this is curious, it is frightening, it is beautiful and profound, but each of us has the ability to push this where we want it to go, and we just need to make sure that we're grounded and centered in finding good information. And Ray, thank you so much for being here. And again, tell everyone where we can go to learn more about free and participate in the study.
Yes, you can go to our website. It's experiencer.org. There we have various articles on the contact modalities. We have various articles on the science and physics of consciousness, all written for the layperson. We have various articles on the experiencer research study. We have various articles that are educational programs on the experiencer contact phenomenon and abduction phenomenon. And plus, we have a menu on experiencer support. We have numerous individuals from all over the world, over 200 individuals that can provide support to experiencers. These are PhD psychologists. These are support groups. These are energy healers, different types of modalities where individuals can get support. If you've had trauma, or if you've had viewed these experiences as negative, or like in my case, my experiences were positive, but I was traumatized because I had no idea what these things were. And so by talking to these support groups, by talking to these individuals, we are providing support to them. So please go to our website. We also have our academic articles on that site. You can there's a link for you to take the actual survey, and we actually have the data a summary of our data that I discussed today, and many more other data questions that I did not have a chance to go over. So it's experiencer.org.
Thank you so much for being here and taking your Friday night and doing this and getting information out. I really will be telling people about what you're doing and what Free is doing, and I think this is incredible. This is where we need to go, and we need to stop all of the infighting and looking at single cases, and we need to understand that this is a complex subject and it deserves serious study. So I hope you have a wonderful night. You can catch me here next week with Fran Ridge. Be safe and stick around for a great night on KCOR. I will catch you next week.
Listen very carefully.
This is Houston. Say again, please. Houston, we've had a problem.
This is UFO Classified, live every Friday night, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. The truth is out there, just waiting to be discovered.
And now, if you will, accompany me on a journey to the future.
For more information on the host of UFO Classified, Erica Lukes, upcoming guests, as well as links to the past shows,
visit her website at UFOclassified.com.
UFO Classified.
UFO Classified.
This is KCOR Las Vegas, home of the Digital Radio Network.